Today on the podcast, we're talking nonprofits, fire, and imagine that. This is the Kansas City Podcast. Welcome to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm the host with the most, playing music with sweet notes, Cole Lindbergh. How's everybody doing today? You know, many of you know me as the crossing guard on Main Street, and if not, it's nice to meet you. You know, I'm downtown. I'm very excited. Oh wait, I forgot. Each week we are joined by one-of-a-kind KC natives for a conversation on life in the city of fountains. And I say KC natives because I have two guests today. I'm very excited. I'm downtown. I'm at 2010 McGee Street. I am at the Imagine That art studio. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, so good. I am joined by Amy Norman, the program director, and Jessica Hayes, the program supervisor. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thank you.
Let's make sure everybody knows who you are. So Amy, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, and Jessica, say hi.
Hello.
And from now on, I'm going to call you Hayes.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, so that way everybody, they can distinguish your voices. They don't have to, when people are listening to this, we want them to know who you are. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Amy's a little worried. Okay, here we go.
I just don't want.
I am in Imagine That art studio, and I don't even know where to begin because I want to make sure that I'm doing justice to explaining what this place is. So let's just start with the basics, the bare bones. What is Imagine That art studio?
Well, we're an art studio that supports adults with disabilities, whether that's developmental or intellectual. They come in Monday through Friday, and they just create. We have an awesome staff here that helps them express themselves in ways that they don't generally get outside of the building. And, we just make everything.
There's no limits, right?
Yes, there is a limit. No fire.
Okay, no
Yeah,
fire.
no fire.
No
Okay,
fire.
fine.
That you draw the line at fire.
Yeah.
Basically, yes.
Okay, so it's 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. People come down here. Is it like an all-day deal?
Yes. Our artists are here 9:30 to 3:30, but not everybody here is 5 days a week. We have people here 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days.
Okay, and how did this get started? What's the story behind this place?
Well, we are a program offered through Resources for Human Development, which is a human services agency that started in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Back in 1970, I believe.
Yeah, sometime around then.
And it operates.
Long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. It operates in, I think, 14 states now, and there's all different types of human services programs. We started in Missouri back in late 2008 in St. Louis, and then in Kansas City in late 2011 with residential services. And then Imagine That opened April 2012.
Yeah.
So we're 5 years.
Almost six.
Almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So what's the main goal for this place? Like, is it to get people here to do art? Like, what is it? Just offering an alternative from day-to-day stuff? What's the mission?
I think our main mission is just to offer people the ability to express themselves that you're not going to find in most day program settings. A lot of day programs and other workshops that are geared towards adults with disabilities have them doing very ordinary tasks, whether it's learning to count change or packing things into boxes or assembling small items. Whereas here we're really trying to give them the means to make something that is their own, whether it's music or a painting or a skateboard bench, whatever they're...
And it's okay to come here and like get dirty and put paint on paper and clay and because there's no medium off limit. Except for fire.
No fire.
No fire.
I mean, because I was walking here, that's because I came here on a First Friday one night, and there was a whole bunch of art on the walls, different types. Like I saw some zines, some different stuff. So I mean, it seems like there's really it's very open to hey, try this, do that. I mean, am I hitting it correct?
Yeah, whatever you feel like doing that day, we're just gonna be here to help you try to do it. If you want to hit the drums randomly, I can help you make that a song. That's fine, man. Whatever you feel like doing. We very much encourage you not to wear nice clothes once you step in the door, because they will get destroyed.
I'd like to add too that I think another part of our program is building relationships not only with each other, but building relationships with the staff, and then building relationships with community members. And then a personal goal of mine is to share the stories of the people that we support. So I want everyone to know that Ricky is an artist, not Ricky is an artist with a disability.
Right.
So I really like to talk about, what they're really good at, just who they are, etc.
So, Amy, how did you get it started with this? How did you get involved with this? Is it a long story?
It's not that long of a story. I mean, back in 2008, I was living in Missoula, Montana. I was attending a photography school, and it was coming to an end. And I was like, well, I guess I got to start looking for a job because I don't want to stay in Montana because I love it, but it's too cold. I guess I'm going to go home. I'm looking through the Craigslist ads and literally saw an ad that says, do you have a passion for art? Do you want to share your talents with somebody with a disability? I'm like, I just finished this photography program, and then my previous job before that was working in a day program.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, so 1 + 1 equals what? Okay, this makes sense. And so I applied, and I think literally as I was driving from Montana back to Missouri, they called for an interview. I set it up the day after I got home, and I had my interview, and then I just sat there waiting.
That's always great in an interview.
Yeah, it was
Just
kind of
sitting
like,
waiting,
they're like, we don't have a building yet. We don't have this or that. I'm like, okay, well, all right. So a couple months down the road, they're like, well, hey, we're ready. We're going to open our doors soon. We want you a part of the team. And so this was January 2009 in St. Charles, Missouri.
Yeah.
And I actually almost didn't get hired because I had experience. They didn't want anybody with experience. What they really like is to take artists and train them to work with people with disabilities. They didn't want me coming with like a background thinking that this is the way you support people. And so I almost didn't get the job, and I've been reminded of that a few times. And then I also remind them, aren't you glad you kept me around, because now I'm a director.
Yeah.
And I've been with you for almost 9 years.
So you push it back in their face.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started in January 2009. I was there for 3 years. And then just life situations, I was like, I'm ready for a move, but I really like doing what we're doing. And Kansas City was opening, and I was like, hey, well, what's going on in Kansas City? Got any openings? Like, well, as a matter of fact, we are hiring for your position right now. We're getting ready to start hiring. I'm like, me? And I guess the rest is history. I was out of there in a month and was here.
So I didn't know that. So basically imagine that. There's more Imagine That's all over the country. Are they all called Imagine That, or is it? No. Okay.
I mean, there is an Imagine That toy store in Wichita.
Okay.
And there's also another Imagine That store in Oregon.
Yeah. But similar programs throughout cities all across the country.
Right. So there's within RHD, there's 2 in the St. Louis area. One's Fine Line Studios, and the other one is called Blank Canvas Studios. Blank Canvas was the first, then Fine Line, then us. There's 2 in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. There's
2 in Rhode Island. There might be 3 now.
Okay.
And then there's Boston and
They're all over the place.
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't keep track.
So I think there's 8 in total with RHD, but this type of program is not unique. Like, they're all over the country.
Right.
Some are small, some are huge, some have a lot of money somehow that they can do extraordinary things. I don't know. And they're going to shows in Paris, whatever. But
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's a lot. So this idea is not unique.
Okay.
It's just the first one in Kansas City.
Okay. So Hayes, how did you get started doing this?
Oh, it was also a Craigslist ad, but there was nothing to do with adults with disabilities in it. I was actually looking for bands in the Craigslist musicians thing, and they're like, there was an ad, and it was like, do you play a lot of instruments, and do you have Pro Tools experience? And I'm just like, yeah, I do that. And I had just moved up from Warrensburg, had an internship in Eudora, and was just like hanging out in Kansas City doing nothing with my life, and just like, I need something to do. So I answered it back, and I got a phone call, and they're just like, well, let me tell you, it's with adults with disabilities. And I'm like, okay, cool, but like, I don't understand. Like, what's with adults with disabilities? Like, what am I doing?
You're going to be using Pro Tools, like, with adults?
Yeah, I had no idea what they were talking about. But I went into an interview, and they explained what it was, and I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds amazing. So I'm just going to do that.
So how many people at one time can be here at one time working? How many people, like, I mean, does it have like a max capacity, or like if we walk back there's like 20, 50 people all painting? I mean, what's
I don't know what our max capacity is. I mean,
well, you don't have to know it. I was throwing out a random number.
I think right now, on our busiest day, if everybody was here, is 45.
Wow.
Is that about
45.
accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We average somewhere between 35 to 45 is our max.
So what's a regular day like? Like what? How does it?
There is not one.
There's not one.
Yeah, you could be one morning. You could be going to volunteer at Habitat for Humanity with your group. You could be doing a giant splatter painting. You could have band practice one day. Like no day looks like any other day around here.
Yeah.
Got to keep it interesting.
That's right. It sounds like it, right? So you could be recording music one day, be doing a painting the next day. I mean, so it sounds like there's just the sky's the limit. It just keeps going and going. The options
Without fire.
Yeah.
Without fire.
No fire.
No fire.
Smoke bombs outside are okay. Fire.
How can people get involved if they want to help with Imagine That? If they want to.
What type? Just general public?
Sure. Anyone. Everyone.
Well, we like volunteers. Visit our website at imaginethatkc.org. There's a volunteer tab for an application to fill out. It does require a background check and a couple of trainings. We love donations.
Donations are great.
Donations, art supplies are great.
Yeah.
I'm not hiring right now.
Well,
but-
that's okay.
As far as if there's a person that wants to attend our program, there's a lot that it's kind of hard for me to sit down and explain right now.
That's fine.
But they
can always check out the website.
Check out the website, and there's contact info on the website.
Yeah,
Awesome.
if you look up our Facebook there, we always have our events posted. We're open most first Fridays. We have additional gallery openings outside. But we keep our Facebook page and our Instagram pretty up to date, just so the people who do want to know what's going on have the opportunity to.
Okay. So I have a silly question. Because I'm not much of an artist. I never have been. I can play some music, but painting, no, it's not for me. When I was in here on that first Friday night, there was stuff in here that like blew my mind, because I was like, I can't, no, wait, what? That's awesome. That's amazing. So my silly question is, has anybody had success from this? Like, have you had some artists here that like have like sold some stuff?
Of course. The most recent, somebody just sold a bunch of artwork.
Yeah.
Someone, Ricky, as I was speaking about before, he was selected 2 summers ago for his artwork to be on one of the streetcar stops. And it wasn't because Ricky has a disability. It was one of, I think, 16 or 17 artists that was selected throughout the downtown Kansas City area.
Yeah.
So that's pretty damn successful, I think.
Absolutely.
We've had 2 artists have work in Ireland. Most people don't have that. And yeah, they do make small amount of money too. I mean, depends. I mean, like I said, we have some people that every month they're selling stuff like crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's always the term starving artist, and we're like, this is what real life is too.
Right.
Yeah.
So what, if you had to, in your mind, think about like all the artists that have come through here and the people that have worked here, is there anything that like sticks out in your mind as saying like, hey, this is the reason we're doing this. This is the reason that Imagine That exists?
I would say it'd be one of our artists, John, and he's probably, we don't all have, like, there's not necessarily favorites, but if there was a favorite, it would be Johnny B. Like, that guy is just the epitome of everything happy in the world.
Okay.
And before he got here, he was kind of just a little bit grumpy, and really secluded, from what I understand. Didn't like to leave his apartment too often, but now he comes here. He just had a solo show up at PT's. He makes a decent living off of his collages. Like it's actually like he gets a check every month, and I'm just like, I haven't sold a piece of artwork in my entire life.
And he's having a solo show soon too.
Yeah, and he's happy.
Projects.
Yeah.
Like the main thing is that he's happy. He comes in here, he sits down, we found out that he likes sewing of all things. But he makes giant plush food items that are hilarious.
Okay.
And really, I think the main thing is that he's actually like very happy. Yeah, he's had success as an artist, but
before this, he didn't have anything like this, right?
I don't even know that
No.
he even really did any art.
Wow.
To be honest.
Okay. So really, like, actually coming here, being here, brought him out of his shell, so to say, and really brought opened a whole new world.
Yeah.
To him.
I think what helped him be successful is that after a while, the staff here really started recognizing that he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And then what can you do with that humor? And it's just progressed, like doing funny podcasts, making funny songs. And now it's progressed to where he makes these collage pieces where he's making funny captions about it. He's also doing Miami Bice, which is his version of Miami Ice.
Okay.
Is that what it's called?
Miami Vice.
Not Ice.
Vice.
Sorry.
Vice, Ice, Vice, same thing, right?
Ice Baby. I don't know. He also danced to Ice Ice Baby as well. So we found something that he already has in him, but also makes him happy. Like, he likes to make people laugh. He told Jessica just a few days ago that, like, the one thing that he wants to do in his life is to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And so it took us, I think, a couple years to kind of figure that out. And now all these things are coming together, and we're just seeing, I think in the last 6 months or so, we've seen, like, the Johnny that everybody loves.
So what's next for Imagine That? What's next? Like, you keep bring more people in and stuff. What's the next big goal? The next big thing? What do you want the legacy of this place to be? I know that's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? I gotta really knock it. A lot of times people say that I throw too many softballs here with questions on the podcast. So I'm sorry, I'm going deep today.
Yeah, I think that we really just want people to start recognizing the people that come here as artists. I don't want it to be like they're coming to a show because they think it's cute that, oh, look at these people making pretty pictures, or, they color so well. Like, no, these guys are artists, and we want people to start recognizing that. And we do have that, but I want just more people to know what Imagine That is.
Absolutely.
So that's my ultimate goal.
Gonna give you the floor. Tell everybody where they can find you. Give them the information once again. If they want to, you said First Fridays, every first Friday, right? Where else? Give the Facebook page. Break it down. This is your time to shine, Hayes.
So
Go for it.
obviously we're located at 2010 McGee Street, just south of the crossroads. If you hit the bridge, you've gone too far. We now have the giant Kansas City I'm So in Love mural, so you can't
That's
miss
right.
us.
It is right outside there.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you've just recently been engaged, or you're just really in love, come by, get your photo taken,
Right,
selfie.
Come inside, hang out for a bit. Our website again is imaginethatkc.org. We're on Facebook again at Imagine That Kansas City. You can Google us there. And then we also have an Instagram that is Imagine That KC, where we're at. We're also on Twitter under the same thing. Just everything, cover all our bases.
I forgot to ask about this building. What was this building beforehand?
It was a commercial photography studio.
It was a commercial photography. It's a cool old building. Like, it's
Yeah.
pretty
Sure is.
sweet.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
amazing.
Because they
Definitely
find a bunch of like secret corridors and stuff that like go to weird places.
We haven't found any of those yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But they tore up a bunch of the building before we moved in, so I assume that they might have taken those out.
But then you guys came in, and now you've got the art studio. It sounds like a recording studio.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I mean, so you've got more and more stuff. Is there more additions on the way? You got like some photography studio working. What do you think?
If somebody wants to give us money,
Okay.
yes.
So listeners to the Kansas City Podcast, let's give some money.
We're a nonprofit. There have been
Yes.
some budget cuts.
Okay.
So we would love to expand what we do here,
Yeah.
but it's not always feasible.
Got
We
it.
are really good at making things work with what we have, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like donations as well.
There's nothing wrong with donations.
There's also on our website, there's a donation page. Giving Tuesday's coming up November 28th.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
I think it might be a good idea.
It might be.
I think so.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah. Amy Hayes, thank you so much for talking to me today. Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I think this is an absolutely awesome place. So I would tell everyone to come out, check it out. We will be right back here on the Kansas City Podcast. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanksgiving is over. Small Business Saturday is over. Cyber Monday is today. Giving Tuesday is tomorrow. Taco Wednesday is coming up. During the holidays, did you subscribe your friends and family to the podcast? I've been dying to know. Remember, commandeer their phone and hit subscribe. It's very easy to do. It's very ethical. We got to get more ears here on the Kansas City Podcast. Welcome back to the Kansas City Podcast. A little bit different second half of the show today, as after I was done speaking with Amy and Hayes, I got to sit down with a few different artists here at Imagine That. We talked about a lot of different things, like what some of the artists are currently working on. For instance, here's Mark.
I'm working on a poster for a poster contest,
Okay.
and the poster contest is about disability.
It's about raising awareness about
Ra-
disability.
Raising awareness for disability and.
And do you what's on it? Do you have is it a picture on it, or are you painting it? What are you doing?
Well, I drew it.
Uh-huh.
Then kind of touching it up on the computer.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
The message is.
It's a good message, right?
It's a good message.
It's a good message.
Now I remember what it's called. Now I remember. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. One's disability doesn't prevent one's ability.
And here's Gabe, who's been working on a number of things, including a video which Steven from Imagine That helped describe.
Actually, I make paint, make sculpture, make art.
Uh-huh.
I'm making pictures.
Okay.
I make other things like and I'm drawing and paint. I just made my friend Richard. When just think about back to 16, back to think about and memories and made a movie in my career about here.
Very nice. Yeah, what's his movie?
Gabe and Richard have been working on a video forever. It documents Gabe's personal life
Okay.
as a young man and a professional wrestler,
Okay.
and the memories of his personal life. Correct?
Yep.
As I was exploring Imagine That and speaking with the artists, I could really feel the sense of community, and that Imagine That is an incredibly fun and supportive atmosphere. I think this was best illustrated when I spoke with April, who had been coming to Imagine That since the beginning. So, April, I'm going to start with you, okay?
Okay.
How long have you been coming to Imagine That?
Quite a while.
Quite a while. What's your favorite part?
Since it opened.
Since it opened. Okay. Well, what's your favorite part about coming to Imagine That?
Visiting with my friends and the staff and my adopted sisters
Yeah.
and working on artwork.
Oh, okay.
I have a lot of real close friends here and adopted sisters, and my favorite kinds of artwork to do are paintings, drawings, and ceramics. I love to do ceramics.
Do you have a favorite, have you made a favorite ceramic, like one of your favorites? What was it?
Yes, I have a flower vase.
A flower vase.
I would just like to say that I really enjoy coming here and working on my artwork or reading books or comic books. And I also love working on collages.
Very nice. Well,
And it's a great place to be and just discover discover how to do and work on new kinds of art and visit.
thanks again for listening to today's episode. Remember, you can find me on Twitter at Cole Lindberg. Check out our website, thekansacitypodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. And, of course, at Kansas City Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to leave you today with a little bit more audio. As I was sitting in the Imagine That studio, Gabe was hanging out for a long period of time, and the entire time he was holding a WWE championship belt. And of course, since we both love pro wrestling, I had to ask him a pro wrestling question. So enjoy, and we'll see you next week here on the Kansas City Podcast. All right. Can I ask one wrestling question?
All right.
All right. You said John Cena's your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it was back to 1998. I was a young kid. And it was awesome match.
Yeah.
Like, it was 12 years.
Yeah.
I just stopped by DX.
Okay. DX. Yeah.
Back to also Cena, Vince's, Triple H.
Okay. Triple H. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my question, because my favorite wrestler of all time is Cactus Jack. You like Cactus Jack?
I do. Yeah.
All right. So who would win, Cactus Jack or John Cena?
I could like The Undertaker and Mankind.
So the Undertaker would win.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I
the
do.
Undertaker
Yeah.
would win. Okay, all right. Well, Gabe, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
I'm glad we got to talk finally. You were hanging out here for a while, and so now you got to talk. You feel good?
Yeah, very good.
All right. What are you going to go work on now?
I'm working on think about drawing and coloring stuff.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.